Welcome back, boys, to another Epic 7 hero review. At the time of upload, she is just coming back, so those of you who don't have her should start pulling for her soon. She's a must-have, and let's talk about why. As always, we'll talk about her skills first, then her build, then a PvP showcase, and then a summary. So let's get started and talk about her skills. So, her S1 is a very basic ability, but pretty good. At Max Mola, it has a 75% chance to put a target debuff on the enemy, which makes them take more damage, and also reduces the chance that they can evade. And for something like Wyvern, it's also great because it works. It makes you hit Wyvern harder, and also counts as a debuff. Now, as usual, the thing that makes her really ridiculous is the S2. You know, every special hero, it's usually because of their S2. Now, her S2 is overloaded. It gives her basically like a jacked up Aureus because she shares 30% of the damage suffered by SSB with the foremost ally. In positioning, it's always the person in the front, so never put SSB in the front. So basically, she has 30% damage mitigation all the time. Now, the important thing is the caster gains 1 focus when an ally is attacked. So against an AoE move, she'll gain 4 focus from a single skill. When an ally is attacked and this caster stack focus is 5, loses all focus and activates You're Not Cute. Now, You're Not Cute basically looks the same as Green Bellona's S2, but it attacks all enemies with a fan, does a lot of damage, and has a 50% chance for a 2-turn defense break. Unfortunately, I can't show it on this dummy thing, but you guys have all seen what it does. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it seemingly procs all the time. And another key thing to note about this is that this is immune to cannot be countered mechanics. This is not considered a counterattack. As long as she has the focus, she's gonna counter you with this. Now, the other thing is her S3 is really good. So it attacks all enemies with water. At Max Mola, has a 100% chance to give them unable to be buffed and unhealable for 2 turns, and damage increases with a critical hit. So unable to be buffed and unable to be healed are 2 extremely annoying debuffs. On top of that, it does a lot of damage, and it gives her 3 focus. So what happens a lot is if you're up against like a counter team and she has no focus, she'll use her S3. She'll get 3 focus, and then let's say something like Charles Elbrus counters her and hits her twice, like the S2 procs, she will immediately counter again. So basically you get dunked by an S3 and then an S2 right after, and it leads up to ridiculous damage, and depending on how strong your SSB is, it can sometimes even one-shot a team. So those are her abilities, crazy ass kit. Let's move on to her builds. Alright, so how do you build SSB? It's actually quite complicated because there's a lot of different options. Like for Soul Weavers and Knights, I usually just say go standard Soul Weaver Knight build. But for SSB, there is so much variety, and the problem with her, the main problem I have is she's really good in both PvP and PvE, but the gear setups are very different for the 2 situations, so I kind of want to keep her viable for Wyvern while still making her good at PvP, and it makes it hard. But here's the main builds. Like PvE, the main thing you want is like 75 effectiveness and as much speed, attack, and crit damage and crit chance as you want. That's if you want like a really strong SSB for Wyvern teams. For PvP, you generally want to sacrifice offensive stats for defensive stats. Otherwise, they'll Zerg your SSB and just kill her really fast. Her base defense is not that high. So in PvP, you kind of have to sacrifice offensive stats to make her work. And even in PvP, there are many different builds. There are some people that just go extremely high damage and attack, no speed whatsoever, so they'll put her on attack set and just basically rely on her S2 counters entirely, and she'll have like 130 speed. Then there are other people who put her on speed set, sometimes even speed boots, so you'll see like 200 speed SSBs, so they actually turn cycle pretty fast, and they still do decent damage. I'd say the most common like RTA build is people go like health and defense sets, so you'll start seeing like 16,000 HP SSBs in RTA. And another build that's really interesting that some people use, that I can't use yet, I will pull for Reingar soon, is they'll just stack attack. They'll stack extremely high attack, go next to no crit chance or crit damage because they don't care, and they'll use Reingar's special drink for the entirety of their damage, and that makes it really simple to gear up. So instead of all of these stats that could be going into crit chance and crit damage, they'll funnel it into defense and health instead, and just get her to like 5,000 attack and rely on non-crit Reingar's damage to do most of the work. So as you can see, there are many different ways to build SSB, but the general rule of thumb is if you're only using her in PvE, make her as fast and hard-hitting as possible. For PvP, try to get her to at least like 12,000 HP and like 1,100 defense at least, I would say, and as much offensive stacks as you can after that. And remember, SSB also benefits from effectiveness, so ideally you'll have at least like 50 for even for PvP, because you want those defense breaks to stick. So I know that was not the best explanation because there's so much variety, but honestly, there's so many different ways to build her, and even at the top tier, people are experimenting with her in many different ways, but I think I highlighted the most common ones. So as always, let's get to everyone's favorite part, the PvP showcase. Let's go. Alright, so what does SSB do in PvP? Well, let's find out. Let's bring her against this triple ML5 team, and as my only DPS, and you know, many of you guys have run into SSB before, so you kind of know what she does, but just to show that's easy mode, I'm just going to click that auto button. I'm not going to do a damn thing. I'm just going to let this game play itself. So there we go. SSB starts countering immediately. Arbiter Vildred's almost dead already. Pushes back my FCC, so no skill nullifier for me. Sad face. Alexa's basket. Ow. What a bastard. Alright, but we get rid of that. Sure. Looks like Arbiter Vildred's gonna get invincibility'd. But now we get to get this nice attack buff up on my SSB. Whap. Oh, looks like my Ruel's going to return to favor. There we go. Now my SSB is invincible, although it's going to wear off immediately, so there's really no point to it. And alright. SSB finally gets a turn. She doesn't have that stupid blind debuff anymore. And that Acid and Litica are completely annihilated. No dice. Shoot, 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 shoot. And there we go. Without me doing anything, they're kind of getting clobbered at this point. This is not a bad auto team, actually. This could probably beat a lot of things. Unfortunately, my team's going on Ruel. My Seaside does counter a lot, though, because of Rosa Hargana. Here we go. Another one coming up. And Arbiter Vildred basically gets one-shotted by the SSB counter. Here we go. Now Arbiter Vildred does his S3 again. No big deal. Ruel is dead. And there we go. That's what SSB does. And as this fight wraps up, let's look at this damage chart just to see how much damage SSB did by herself and why she's so freaking good at PvP. Hit him. Ah, didn't hit him. Oh well. Alright. Flip. Arbiter Vildred's down. There we go. Triple ML5 team autoed by SSB. Let's look at these damage charts. So SSB did 55,000 damage. The Arbiter Vildred was close behind. And yeah, it was more than enough. The rest of my team did next to nothing. Like they did like 9,000, 7,000, 2,000. It was all SSB. Let's try another one. Oh baby, here we go. So we did a triple ML5 team. How about a quadruple ML5 team? Soloed by SSB. Well, not soloed, but a solo DPS'd by SSB. Again, we're just going to click this auto button. We don't care about them. Unfortunately, I go first. I'd rather not go first because their FCC is just going to remove my skill nullifier. So that's unfortunate, but whatever. We'll get rid of their skill nullifier right away. So not too big of a deal. Although it would have been nice to block the ML Ken counter. So here we go. If we get lucky, we'll get some defense breaks too. So SSB immediately counters this. Shoop, 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 shoop. Decreased defense on the FCC. Whoa, a little lag spike there. And it's dunking time. Bloop, 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 bloop. Get countered again. Our Ruel tops our nice SSB off. Here we go, another counter. And FCC is dead now. Put up a nice little barrier. Here comes ML Ken, and this is going to trigger yet another counter from SSB. This is why SSB is so good. She's just countering all the goddamn time. More counters. Arbiter Vildred's dead now. And here we go. See who, oh, stunned. FCC is almost dead. FCC goes down for good now. Now we gotta work on this Mead. This should proc another counter. There we go. Droop, 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 droop. ML Ken dies too. Arbiter Vildred now comes back. Probably gonna blind my SSB. There we go. Does get blinded, unfortunately, but yet another counter coming on the board. And ML Ken drops to the... I mean, are you guys seeing this? Like, SSB is just a redonkulous hero, so everyone's dead except Arbiter Vildred now, and like, I think you guys can agree, this is a pretty solid defense as Arbiter Vildred, ML Ken, Maid Chloe, and Fallen Cecilia. I mean, all four of them are considered extremely powerful ML5s, and SSB pretty much just neutered this team by herself. She is just such a powerful hero. Blam, Arbiter's one-shotted, and there we go. That's how you use SSB. Let's look at this battle chart. SSB this time, you know, my DN contributed 1,700 damage, Ruel did 2,000, FCC did 8,000, granted not DPS. My SSB did 120,000 damage, which is more than their entire team put together times 2, almost times 3, like 2.5 times more damage than their entire team. I mean, I think we could all agree that this is a solid hero. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the summary. Alright, Dr. Squirrel summary time, and you know what? You guys all know what I'm going to say about SSB. Is she good? She is absolutely amazing, and if you watch other YouTubers, a lot of them have been complaining about her for a long time because they consider her broken. I don't really consider her broken anymore, like with Valencia out and stuff. Like, she's manageable, but she's still clearly extremely, extremely strong. So let's go over the categories. Arena offense, S, especially for auto teams. She's fantastic in auto teams. Just bring an attack buffer and some heals. And as you saw, she can kind of take out teams entirely by herself. Not the fastest way to win, but very reliable. So I gotta give her an S in arena offense. In arena defense, at the highest tiers, I don't know if she's used that much, but I'd still have to give her an S. Like all the way up to like legend, she's going to be a very solid and annoying pick. But like, you know, in the top 100, I think she's kind of fallen off a little bit lately, but she's still very, very solid. So in general, arena defense, she's a huge threat still. I'd still give her an S. In Guild Wars offense, I haven't really used her that much, but I know a lot of my guildies do. I mean, I gotta give her an S. I know a lot of my guildies are carried by SSB, and they even use her as an ML Ken counter because of her S3, even though I don't really consider an ML Ken counter, unless you also have something like Ruel to heal her up after ML Ken dunks her. But yeah, like, results speak for themselves. All my guildies are using her on offense. There's a reason for that. She's an S. Guild Wars defense, No, unsurprisingly, also an S. Like, she's really annoying. In certain comps, especially, like Ruel SSB is very annoying in Guild Wars defense, and everyone knows the classic meta defense FCC Charles SSB with Charles on counter set. You know, there's always so much variety in how people build their Charles and SSBs that it's always a coin flip against that team whether you win or not. Like, do you go for the Charles first? Do you go for the SSB first? You never know. You always got to scout it out. She's always a threat on Guild Wars defense. And in RTA, she's a solid S. Like, she is still used all the time in RTA. The main thing to note is if you're going to use her in RTA, you cannot use full attack SSBs in RTA. Some people are like, SSB is not good in RTA, and that's because they bring like a 9,000 HP SSB with like 5k attack and 300 crit damage to RTA and just gets one-shotted by everything. That doesn't work. You want her like in RTA to have like 14, 15,000 HP, at least 1100 defense to kind of demotivate people from attacking her, and then her S2 will start countering and gives her that Aureus effect, and she remains very strong in RTA. And at the high tiers, a lot of people are using that high attack, high defensive stats, no crit damage, no crit chance build. So there's my SSB review. She's a beast. If you don't have her, I mean, if you're watching this in the first 2 weeks of the upload, you have a chance to get her. And if you watch it afterwards, I'm sure she'll be back. But she is a must-have for everybody. I don't usually give heroes an S in every single category. I mean, arena defense, I could argue maybe she deserves an A at this point, not an S. But we'll leave her as an S because she's so popular. And she's just a fantastic overall hero. Anyways, that's my review of SSB. Good luck on you guys pulling for her. And till next time, let me know who you guys want reviewed next. Thanks for watching and peace out.